Hi, this is Dean Wells from Meshiaak, and you're listening to Collision on Voice FM.
How are you, Dean?
I'm good, man.
That's good. Let's start first with Terra Maze, because that's the band that you originally founded when you were still in high school.
Yeah, I was just out of high school, but yeah, I left high school to join bands.
What made you decide that you had to be in bands?
As soon as I picked up the guitar, I was like 15 or something. My dad played guitar and sung, and Mum was a singer. So picking up the guitar was it felt easy at the start.
Right.
So, it was just something to do to kill the time while I broke up my leg.
Oh. And then what about the heavy metal influence? Where did that come from?
I don't know. Actually, probably an old friend called Stephen Greenshield in primary school. I remember hearing Ride the Lightning, right, and just thinking that's the type of music that, appeals to me. Like, I listen to everything, all pop stuff and whatever's on the radio, but that was the album I first heard and went, yeah, this is it. So that was, and I was probably about 13.
And Terra Maze, they've had a reasonable amount of success, not massive success, but they're a known metal band in Australia.
Yeah.
How did Meshiaak come along? Am I saying it right? Meshiaak?
That's Meshiaak.
Meshiaak.
Meshiaak. That's the proper pronunciation. But it came about because I produce other bands. That's what I do for a job. And I was working with Danny, and he was still in Forearm at the time, his other band. Mm-hmm. And when he left, we were sort of just talking and thought, maybe we'll do something just together for a bit of fun, something a little bit more metal, something that's not as as technical and as progressive as Terra Maze, something a little bit more grassroots, from the bands that we grew up on, like, Metallica and Pantera and Megadeth and Machine Head and all that sort of stuff. So we were sort of just doing it for a little bit of fun, and then we put up a track. It was a demo we did at my studio called Alliance of Thieves a year or two ago, mm-hmm, and we got a really good response from it, mm-hmm, and that was sort of pretty much how it started.
All right. Well, it's definitely more than a bit of fun now. It must be kind of weird in a way after struggling away in a band trying to build it up for years, and then, like, Meshiaak has just blown up straight away.
Well, I mean, how it sort of more come about was, the sort of long story was that my band Terra Maze, we signed a fairly major deal in America a year ago with Mascot Label Group.
Right.
They do, they've done people like Gojira and Jack Wild and Joe Bonamassa and lots of big guitarists and stuff. So that was huge for Terra Maze. And then they saw that I had another band with Danny and John Deddy, who's, played in Testament and Slayer and is touring at the moment with Anthrax. So, they grabbed the band and signed us as well. And it, probably with the names attached to it with Danny, and especially John, things were always going to be a bit easier to promote from the start.
Yeah.
So, and the album's not out yet, and it's getting a pretty cool response.
Yeah, you're everywhere at the moment. But how did you end up getting John Deddy to play in your band?
It's interesting, isn't it? It was really, really simple, actually. I know it sounds simple, but we had a friend who does a lot of PR out here, Chris Marr, who actually, I think he put me onto you.
Yeah.
He was friends with John, and it must have been working with Ice Earth or something at the time. And we were looking for a drummer. And Danny and I were just thinking maybe we try to get, maybe a session drummer, or, we weren't quite sure what we wanted to do with drummers. We wanted someone maybe, new that we haven't played with before, And Chris literally just mentioned John Deddy. And we're like, well, okay, let's chat to him. So we sent him some scratch tracks, a couple of demos, and we met him when he was out here with Ice Earth playing, and got along, and he just said, I absolutely love the music because I want to be a part of this band, not just as like a session player, but actually a full-fledged member. So we went, okay, let's do it. And it was literally that simple.
Right. Pretty awesome.
But, I mean, the stuff that we had was obviously appealing to him, especially he played in Slayer for a few years there, and Testament, Ice Earth, Anthrax. So the style of music we wanted to do really appealed to him, and he never really had his own band. He's always been the fill-in guy.
Yeah, I noticed that.
What's that?
I noticed that when I was researching him.
Yeah, so that's, he just went, I really want to be a part of something from the start. And so we went out to Oakland in California, Jingletown Studios, which is actual Green Day studio.
All right. And
we did the drums there. And we were there for a couple of weeks. We just got along really well, and he just got the music I don't know if you've heard the whole album, but his drumming just suits it perfect.
Yeah, I love the drums, and I was noticing definitely, like he has two bass drums.
He got two bass drums, yeah. So, it kind of snowballed pretty quickly from being something that Danny and I just wanted to do for a bit of basically a side project. I have never been in another metal band other than Teramaze, so it was kind of new for me having someone else who was an accomplished songwriter, because I've always written all music myself in Teramaze, like singers or whatever, but I've always written the music, so that was different for me, and it was actually really quite exciting. And at the same time, I had to keep certain styles that I wanted to bring into Meshiaak. I had to kind of keep it just tamed down a bit, but be a lot more riff orientated, and trying to bring the metal side out of me. So that was a bit of a challenge, but it was actually really cool and quite an easy process.
Yeah, I was noticing, like, I've had, like, been getting your press releases, of course, and I've had for 2 singles, Chronicles of the Dead and the latest one, At the Edge of the World, but that's not what you made the film clip for. You made the film clip for Drowning, Fading, Falling, so is that not a single? Like, is a difference between a single and a video these days?
At the Edge of the World is basically the single, and we're right in the process of doing a film clip for that song at the moment. Right. We've kind of released with the album.
Right. This first film clip, it is John in the video with you. Did you film it in Australia or over in America?
No, it's kind of a collage of when we were in LA with John, and then in the studio down here. So it was just sort of bits and pieces. So yes and no, you know what I mean? We were there when we recorded John, because that's him actually playing in the studio, but the rest of it was done here. And we just did the new video in proper sort of film studios this time, and he was over in San Diego and we were in Melbourne doing it at the same time, so that's pretty interesting. I mean, it kind of keeps it sort of pretty interesting having a drummer that lives in San Diego.
Yeah, well, I guess in a way it'll make it easier for you to get in and tour America with the visas and that, but then it's more difficult for you to maybe tour Australia.
It's about the same, really. It's easy for us three to just go there and tour America with John, but America and Europe they're such bigger markets than here, so yeah, our focus isn't really to tour Australia. If something comes up, then, we'll just bring John out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if it's worth it, we're not just going to sort of do just some local pub gigs and, spend $2,000 on a plane ticket. You know what I mean? So choosing our gigs sort of wisely.
You have something special here and you want to make sure you take care of it as a special project.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like even Teramaze, we don't play around Melbourne that much. We do a little bit. But to me, Australia's just too small to sustain any band, really. You have to go overseas. So, I mean, it's good to play here, but it's just, I've seen amazing bands just die in the arse because they never went overseas. They come from Australia. So having a drummer over there sort of, keeps us focused on the whole world, not just Australia.
Yeah, but then you do have to look carefully at his schedule with all his work, filling in for other bands and that too.
Well, we do. I mean, another thing that has happened recently is Teramaze and Meshiaak are now working with Tom Marr, who's Anthrax's manager.
Oh, right.
He's also managed Slash. He actually was part of managing Guns N' Roses in the 90s, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, like I was talking to him the other day and I could see the big Use Your Illusion records behind him. It was just pretty surreal, and he's a great guy. So he'll be, dealing with everyone's schedules under the one roof, and same with the label. I mean, Teramaze and Meshiaak, the same label. So that's as good as, it's as good as it gets sort of thing in that, scheduling things.
It sounds like you've crossed this divide with your bands and, like, particularly with Meshiaak. You've stepped into a new league. How does it feel to be working in that league?
Well, I mean, it doesn't feel any different. I've kind of been working hard in the music industry for a long time, so it's all, hard work, and sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's really difficult, but it's all, I mean, I've been a professional musician for most of my life now, so it's just, things have stepped up probably in the last 2 years, even especially with Teramaze, just got nominated for the Prog Award in the UK, and that's a huge thing for us being an Australian band, because it's the biggest progressive magazine in the world. So things like that have slowly been happening lately, which has been amazing. Now I'm sort of, at the moment, just focused on Meshiaak and doing all the groundwork. I'm sort of always working so hard on this stuff that I forget, sometimes where I'm at. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. So then the next step, I guess, if Australian audiences want to see Meshiaak, that's not right, is it? Meshiaak. Meshiaak.
It's got an arc in it.
Yeah, Meshiaak. Does it mean something?
Yeah, it actually means Messiah, but with the extra A in it, it just kind of looked cool. So
that's cool. I mean, because you've given it pretty much a big name and it's going to be a big band, but we're going to have to wait, I guess, until you get on one of the big Australian festivals if we want to see you play.
Yeah, or sort of like a support for another band that's touring Australia, something like that. Would be definitely be worth bringing John out here for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just doing a couple of local shows in Melbourne's going to be difficult. We'll have to wait and see. We're working on a lot of stuff at the moment. Most of it's overseas, but Australia's obviously still part of that.
The album is just being released, and is it being released worldwide or just in Australia at this point? I guess worldwide.
Oh, it's worldwide. The distribution company is Warner Brothers Music, so that's a pretty cool thing. Yeah, so, I mean, it should be everywhere. You should be able to get it, all the shops and online and streaming and pretty much.
JB Hi-Fi and that. On your website, which is Meshiaak.com, and you are Facebook.com/Meshiaak, of course, which is spelled Meshiaak, and not everyone might know that yet, but everyone's going to know it very soon, how to spell that off. What's your favourite track on the album?
Definitely Anthem.
All right, the last track.
Yeah, that's actually the last track we wrote. Well, because it's a bit different, it's a bit more sort of my influence in that song, but kind of pushing Danny as a producer to sing really clean was something so new for him that it kind of made that song really special. And I mean, I'm actually singing in the chorus a fair bit as well, so it's really good combination of what we both do. And it was the last song written. I know it's hard to sort of choose, but I'd say Definitely Anthem is probably the most special song to me anyway.
Can I ask them, with this album, was it mainly you and Danny writing it, or was the whole band involved?
No, it was Danny and I.
So then are you guys looking forward to working on album 2 with everyone involved in the actual songwriting process, or are you going to pretty much continue this way?
It'll probably continue this way because not everyone writes songs. It's the same as a lot of bands, you know what I mean? So it's hard for a drummer to write a song, but they could bring in, grooves and have different ideas and that. So we'll definitely be rehearsing with John and Mick, but the songwriting will be very much done by Danny and I.
Well, John Detty has been mentioned in virtually everything to do with Meshiaak at the moment, but what would you want people to know about the band?
Well, the band was sort of a combination of Danny's style of music and my style of music sort of just exploding into one sort of band. And, that's really the essence of how it come about. So, John was a real added bonus that, really made things come alive, especially his drumming. But, that's kind of where the band started. And it's obviously turned into a full-fledged band now.
So the band's still got an Australian accent.
Yeah, very much. It's very much an Australian band. It's an American drummer.
Yeah.
But if we're in America, we're probably an American band.
And he is a damn good drummer too. I mean, let's face it.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's ridiculous. I've played with some absolutely amazing drummers. And John's up there with some of the best, if not, probably the top best 3 or 4 sort of metal thrash drummers in the world. And that's why bands like Slayer and Anthrax hire him, because he comes in and just, does an amazing job. But now it's, time for him to have his own sort of band. And Meshiaak is very much his number one priority.
Right.
So when things will be worked out for us to tour, he can't tour with Anthrax.
Right.
So unless we're on tour with them, then I don't know how that would work, but we have spoken about it.
Yeah. Well, I will say that Meshiaak Alliance of Thieves debut album is out today, the 19th of August, and it's available virtually everywhere. Well, it is available everywhere. You can buy records, download or hard copy. And I think it's not only a really good album and people should definitely go and grab hold of it and check it out, But it's always exciting to see an Australian band who can conquer the world, and I guess you've got some hopes riding on you at the moment for that.
Well, I don't know.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. Look, man, I just do what I do as a musician, and, you know, people like it, then it's great. But it's definitely, you know, things are pretty exciting at the moment, and we just got to keep working hard and see what happens.
Yeah, and if people don't want to wait until tomorrow to go to the record store, they can go to Meshiaak.com and they can download the album immediately from there. There's links on there to all the places you can buy it anyway. And they should go to facebook.com/Meshiaak and give you a like and watch what happens. And who knows, anything could happen next. So
who knows?
Yeah, not even you know, so we can all be surprised. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks for your time.
Bye.